For me, I think Tim will always be the front runner of the anti-Pokies campaign and the one that keeps me motivated and believe that there is change and change is going to happen. So I'd love Tim to come up and for exactly 10 minutes set the scene for this forum. Thank you.
Gabby knows I'm a Baptist preacher, that's why 10 minutes, wow. Look, let me begin by saying I want to thank all the candidates for being here. I want to thank you for being here. As the front runner, as Gabby described it, I hoped when I went to World Vision I could retire from this area. And I happen to believe that there was emerging bipartisan support that matched the community angst. The community angst that really saw through the seductive line that the industry continually puts up, which is simply a libertarian line. Namely, it's a matter of free choice. No one has to gamble. No one's forced to gamble. Most do it responsibly. In fact, they'll say, why would you penalise 99% of people who do it responsibly? Well, when it comes to pokies, for a start, it's less than 30% of the population that play. And when you drill down further and see what percentage of those are addicted, by definition have no free choice. When variously from even the industry's 34 cents in every dollar coming from an addicted person to the Productivity Commission's 43 cents in every dollar to Monash and Charles Livingston's 53 cents in every dollar, between a third and a half of the profits of the industry are coming from people who have no choice. This puts paid, I think, to the civil liberties argument that this is just a matter of free choice, and most Victorians see through it. Certainly most Victorians know, just through anecdotal evidence and their own experience, which should never be devalued, though I've been hearing the Crown spokesman Gary O'Neill just now saying on John Faine program as I drove here, even when 225 of their own employees, still employed, say, we serve intoxicated people, we tip them out into the CBD intoxicated in their hundreds, 225 of their own employees saying this, and we've got a law and order election running. We've got a law and order election running, at least whatever the figures, whether they're up or down, at least in the CBD, we know of this violence. When they say we are encouraging them to keep gambling, to serve them alcohol, breaching what allegedly are the responsible guidelines. And the CEO, the spokesman Gary O'Neill comes on and says, well, there's no evidence. Now, over the years, I've had so many individual whistleblowers who are former Crown employees, current Crown employees, come and speak to me, you raise it in the press, and they just get battered away by Crown. Well, that's just one person. They're disgruntled. They isolate them. They say, how is that credible? What amazed me this morning was hearing Gary O'Neill say of 225 current employees, there is no evidence. Little wonder those same current employees in this research actually say we don't feel safe. We don't feel our employer respects us. Coming to this issue, I still have this hope that I can retire from it, that there might be sanity and bipartisan support to say this is out of control. And when you put in safeguards, as Andrew Wilkie has suggested, around pre-commitment, it's amazing how the industry literally goes ballistic, saying this is a breach of civil liberties. It's really interesting, this. Pre-commitment that allows you, as a potential problem gambler, to set your limits and your losses, that gives you that individual power, now is a breach of civil liberties. I just don't get the philosophical line here. Go away, Tim Costello and the rest of us, because no one's forced to gamble, it's just a civil liberty issue. When you empower people to give them control, this is also a breach of civil liberty. Of course, the philosophical line is this. There is so much money at stake here for the industry, and I have to say for Treasury, and I have to say, having been doing this for a long time, when parties are in opposition, they're usually magnificent on gambling until they get into government. And the rivers of money are, and no politician, I believe, is actually pro-gambling in this sense, so cynical as to say I don't care about the bankruptcies, the crime on crime. The Justice Department here in Victoria's own findings, own report, after heroin, the second greatest contributor to crime is pokies. We have a law and order election running, and we're not discussing the second greatest contributor to crime. We have an expose, if you like, of Crown this morning pushing intoxicated people out, knowing what they're going to go and do, and we don't have a discussion about it. I still hope for a bipartisan agreement to say we can fix this, we need to fix this, but this is incredibly difficult to do when there is so much money at stake. That's the bottom line. There is so much money at stake. There are such powerful vested interests at stake. I know. I said on ABC TV radio this morning with Virginia that the regulator is really failing, and failing badly. Crown, in 2008, excluded something like 2,100 people. In 2008, there were 2,338 breaches of its self-exclusion policy, found to be in breach. Was there any sanction? No. Was there any fine? No. Was there any consequence? No. No wonder Crown can say, and I'm just picking on Crown because it's in the news this morning, and its pokies, by the way, make 50% more than average pokies, 150,000 per machine. Average pokies are 100,000. And Crown, with the arrogance of its immunity, can say there is no evidence. 225 of their own employees, 2,000 cameras, release the CCTV footage then, let's see. There's no evidence, you don't trust your own employees. The immunity, the lack of sanction, the failure of regulation, the impossibility, it still seems to me, to deal with this in terms of public policy interests of those who are addicted is because there is so much money at stake. That is my only explanation, which is why the public good, and this is why government exists, the public good must always precede the private suffering and pain and certainly profits of those who are living off that private pain and suffering. So thank you for being here. I want to thank the candidates for being here. I have to apologise that I have a long-standing commitment in Sydney and have to leave and catch a plane. But to Gabby, who's organised this, and for most of you who know Gabby, it comes out of her own private pain, and her story is a story of redemption in every sense, of addiction, of ruin, and it's huge cost to her family, and now redemption. I have done too many funerals of family members who have lost a loved one because of their addiction and they couldn't find redemption. I have been to so many prisons to visit people who didn't have addictions before pokies, who actually had businesses and homes. This is why this pain must actually put people first before pokies, and why bipartisan policy right across the spectrum needs to actually find its voice to put people first before these profits. Thank you.